Today we are joined by somebody who helped define the post-grunge genre in the 1990s and well into the 2000s. His name is Gavin Rossdale. He's from the band Bush, and they will be here in Charlotte, North Carolina on April 15th at the Skyla Credit Union Amphitheatre. Gavin, how are you doing today?
Doing good, thanks. How are you?
Doing well. And I heard your tour just kicked off. You're there in Washington, D.C. tonight as I'm talking to you. How's the tour been so far?
The one show was amazing. So, we're just getting into it, and yeah, one show in, like 27 to go or something. So, yeah, it's all good, just like in it.
Awesome. And anything you're looking forward to on this tour? Any particularly cool new songs that you guys are going to play?
Yeah, there's quite a few. We've introduced about 10, 12 new songs. Oh man, nice guy. I love that. 10, 12 songs or whatever we haven't played before or for a long time. So it's kind of a little bit of, you got to concentrate on that stuff, you know.
Awesome. And obviously, you've been entertaining audiences for so long. How do you still keep up the energy and still try to create and bring a great performance to the crowd?
I love playing. I love shows. I like the challenge of being consistent and outdoing yourself from the previous show. We're away a lot, so for me personally, the only way to really justify that is to try and be brilliant. You know, you can't be out here and then just sort of like phone it in all homesick because that doesn't last very long. So when I'm out here, just it's a different life from what I have at home, and so the focus is just about the show, and everything in the day is just pointed towards the show. That's the payoff. You know?
Yeah, you mentioned you've been on the road so long. I can imagine that takes somewhat of a toll on you over the years, but is it worth it at the end of the day when you realize that you've been able to create music that has uh, meant so much to so many people for so long?
Of course, thank you. You know, that's exactly how it works. That when you get that kind of response and that kind of connection with people, with an audience, it all becomes worth it. I probably feel the worst for my own kids, you know, who like I'm not with them right now, so it's hardest for them and for me in that regard. But everything else, you know, it's weird, you know, like there's a crazy cost to be on the road, and you lose a lot of, you know, you just drift away from people, friendships, social things, you know. But it's how it is.
Awesome. And you're sort of in tour of support of your latest album, I Beat Loneliness. Anything special about this album? How do you think it ranks up with some of the more iconic releases that some of you guys put out?
I think it's right up there. You know, it's a really solid collection of songs. There's no point in me writing songs that can't be in the set. There's no point in writing songs that can't compete with those other songs. So it's just different time, but really fun to play, which is always the great measure of it. You know, like they're just good tracks to play live and connect with people. So there you go.
Awesome. And when you come out kind of in tour support of an album, but still probably want to deliver the hits that people know and love, what does putting together a set list kind of look like for Bush these days?
Complicated and longer than expected. And so just trying to get it all in. And, you know, I don't want people to be kind of frustrated. You know, you want to play, I can't play a whole bunch of new songs and then forsake the other tracks. It doesn't make sense. So it's just a balance, like everything, just a balance.
Cool. And you guys have two bands supporting you on this tour, Mammoth and James and the Cold Gun. Is that two bands or is that just a really long band name? And what do you know about those guys?
That's two bands. James Nicole Gunn from Wales. So it's fun to hear someone from Wales out on tour with us. And again, it's only been one night, so I've seen them in the corridor, said hi, and wish them well, and just hope they have a great run. I like it that people just have a great night of music. You know, it's not about making the support bands or the other bands are kind of in any way inferior in any capacity. It's all like pretty, you know, we finish a sound check at a certain time to give them that time. I've done so many times where you play with people, and sometimes if I'm opening for someone on a main band wants to kind of sound check for so long, and you just sat around like idiots and you don't get to check and all that stuff. So I don't have any of that. I don't. It's not cool to let people. You know, people want to play arenas really well, and they deserve to have sound checks of decent length and all that stuff. So I'm quite egalitarian like that. I think that people that do that thing where they kind of sabotage the opening bands a bit, like less volume or less lights or uh, curtailed sound checks and stuff like that. Just I don't believe in that. Give everyone that kind of shot to do their best because ultimately it's about the audience just having a great time. You know?
Yeah, well said. So you've been putting out amazing music for over 30 years now. You've been touring the world. You've done the whole nine yards. So I'm sure at some point it can get a little like, what am I doing? But do you ever sit back and think, hey, I've laid down something is going to last forever? Do you ever put yourself out of yourself a little bit and kind of look at the whole picture that way?
Well, that helps me to not complain. You know, if I'm sort of a bit below under the weather or something and being a bit moany and a bit gripey, I kind of look at the power of what we're doing, what we've achieved, and also I'm surrounded by people that are giving everything they have every day. From our crew that who work incredibly hard, like every crew is just it's just rubbish. All the techs, you know, they got such a crappy long hours away from home. You know, not that comfortable. It's just they amaze me. I'm in awe of our techs, just how they have the guts to do that and just live the life they do. So it's hard to complain when everyone else around is working really hard for us, you know.
Awesome. And I know you're from London, from England, so if you don't have any particular fond memories of America, don't blame you. But for me here in Charlotte, North Carolina, any particular fond memories or fond experiences or shows throughout your career if you remember playing in North Carolina or Charlotte?
Well, in North Carolina, yeah, I had a great friend of mine, Frank Bodici. He had moved down there, so that area always makes me think of him, and I get to see his daughter, Sophia. So I have a personal connection there. Everyone's so polite as well, which is really nice. Everyone's got like really nice way about them. You know, the culture is to be sort of super polite and if you come from a brash city like London or people like hustle and bustle and got time for each other. It's nice to come across a culture where people are kind of really polite and easygoing and not in a rush, and the world's not going to end if they don't make it through that traffic light. You know, just easier going.
Yeah, we got the Southern hospitality.
Oh, it's
Is there
beautiful.
a place in America or a place anywhere in the world, maybe even there in England, that you really look forward to every time you get to tour?
You know, um, it's always nice to be in a maybe more major city because you can there's more options. But then when you reach the kind of the kind of more out of the way places, you have different things that pop up. So really, I just like the element of surprise. You always find something. I have a really good nose for like finding good restaurants or walking around with and I commit to that place. Do you know? And it's probably a bit of annoying to walk with me because I sort of can take ages to find it. But I just think that sitting down, having a drink, going to a good bar or going to get a bite to eat, these are not wasted opportunities. These should be embraced. You know.
Well said. And only have time with you for a couple questions. So one, I just had to know as a fan who's listened to this song forever, what is glycerine?
What is glycerine? I mean, it's meant to be, but that explosive, so nitroglycerine. So it's just a kind of the ability to blow up, very dangerous material, just like love, and just like you know the partners we choose. A little bit of danger, and so it's just that, and it's wild because when I wrote that song, it's so beautiful because I didn't have any career. I just was, this Bush was a new band I was in. I'd been in it maybe a year and a half, a year when I wrote that song. And I'd been in two other bands before that kind of failed. One got signed and the other one never got signed. It's like I had to be in the band to find out what band I didn't want to be in, kind of thing, I guess. And so all those songs of 16 Stone, including Glycerine, were just written in complete ignorance that anyone would ever hear them. So I always love this idea that talking about them, what they've done for me, for us as a band, for everything. I love they were written out of such innocence. They're just written for the sake of trying to make good music. And I'd actually given up on being commercial at that point. It was like the height of Britpop and Suede and Oasis and Blur and all that stuff. And it didn't really speak to me. It was too contained. I like the kind of more wild kind of Hendrix, Jane's Addiction, just sort of a bit more shamanic approach to playing shows, and wild frontmen who just incredible. So it meant that to perform like that, you need to have really strong music. You can't do it on a tidy, chirpy beats of some of the other stuff. So I don't know. What I did was I just did a record and a band I just believed in, and I had no idea it would have any success at all. So it's kind of always funny to talk about these things because they were not written from the perspective. I mean, I'm enough to give anyone hope because if I did it out of nowhere, it just shows it just comes down to just like never giving up and trying to find the best songs to represent yourself, and then the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, well said. Really cool to get your insight on all of that. Um, just lastly, any big push you would have to someone who is maybe hesitant about seeing you on tour, maybe for Charlotte or anywhere else on this tour, why should they come out and see you guys?
Yeah, I think that the power of the band is its ability to change people. It's sort of, I want us to have a mesmerizing quality. I want us to elevate people. People's lives are hard. The world is shit. We're at war. AI is threatening everybody. Nobody knows what the future holds. It's exciting, but nobody really knows what the future holds. And so live music is one of those traditional ancient art forms that still has its function because it just makes people feel better. And you know, I always think, people sometimes ask me for advice with the music they make and stuff like that, and I always say that you have to make the music that you want to hear that you can't find anywhere else. And so similarly, I don't know what other people do in their shows and how committed they are. I know, there's amazing live performers everywhere, right? But it's each to their own. Like, I just know that when we're on stage, we try and make that stage buzz and just be like, full of the kryptonite that we love. And so that's it. That's what it is. So if people want to see an enthusiastic band with songs that probably they know and other songs to get lost to, we are the band for them.
Well said. Very philosophical. Well, you heard it. There was Gavin from Bush. They're going to be here in Charlotte, of course, on the Skyla Credit at the Skyla Credit Union Amphitheater on April 15th. Gavin, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope to see you and a huge crowd shows up for you on that day in just a couple days.
Thanks so much.